Orville, I see you. Do you see me?
Yeah, I can see you, Bruce, and I
Okay.
think we're getting the participants in now, so we'll give it a few minutes for folks to get in, and then
Okay.
we'll get started. I think we've got, okay, we still got some folks coming in. Looks like there's still some folks coming in here. So we'll give it a couple more minutes and then get started.
Okay.
Okay. I think we are 2:04. We'll give it 60 more seconds and we'll get started. Okay, why don't we get started? Looks like we've got a number of the participants in. So welcome, everyone. I'm Orville Bailey, former co-founder and CEO of Equal Level, and welcome to this chapter of the Unit Client Connection. Today, we are privileged to have Bruce Collins from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Bruce is the VP of Procurement and Materials Management there. And he's going to talk not only about what he's doing in the area of procure to pay and really source to pay automation at Dallas-Fort Worth, but some of his prior experience with the city of El Paso and so on there. Bruce has a 25 plus year experience in procurement, compliance, supply management. So I'm thrilled to have him today to talk about his experiences and to interact with the audience and answer questions and share some of the challenges and accomplishments that he's had over the last few years as it relates to procurement automation. Just as a backdrop for those of you that don't know Equal Level is procure to pay automation software. We feel that we're best in class in the public sector for procure to pay automation. and we just recently joined the Una family in February. So it's a relationship that we've been talking about and anticipating for years with the Una team, and we finally were able to bring it together to really bring together what I kind of deem as the ultimate best in breed source to pay automation for the public sector. So everything from originating the need, maybe we need to go out and establish a contract for a particular category or some services, all the way through the operational part of procurement where folks are actually driving requisitions, approving those requisitions, orders to suppliers, invoices coming back into suppliers, and ultimately payment. I think we've taken a major step in really bringing that all together by joining the Una family. So I'm excited. My team from Equal Level is excited to be part of the family, and this is just a great opportunity to talk about some of the successes we've had even prior to integrating and becoming part of Una with some of the portfolio organizations that are part of Una Procure. So the agenda for today is to have Bruce really give us his background in terms of automating source to pay strategies that he's employed successfully at the city of El Paso, and then really share with us the vision for what he's doing at Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and then really open it up for questions. So as you have questions, please feel free to enter them into the text box, and when we get to that point in the agenda, we'll open it up, and I'm looking forward to really picking Bruce's brain about the vision, some of the challenges, and where he plans to go. So with that, let me turn it over to Bruce to just give us some background, his background, and talk about some of the highlights and challenges. Bruce?
Thank you, Robo. So first, let me walk through for DFW, our mission statement and our vision. So our vision is travel transform. Our mission is we discover new ways to care for our customers, inspire employees, strengthen the community to create an exceptional airport experience every day. Every day. And so the next slide, please. Just for some key numbers for DFW, we are the second busiest airport in the world. We have traveling passengers, roughly 200,000 every day come through our terminals. We recently awarded Terminal F that will be up in about 3.5 years. And we awarded for $912 million. When DFW International Airport was founded, we are co-owned by the city of Dallas and the city of Fort Worth. 70 years ago, those visionaries decided, yes, we have love field, but maybe we'll need something bigger in the future. So they combined to set aside 17,000 acres of land for a future airport. We're currently celebrating our 50-year anniversary of flight right now. DFW is an organization, we consider ourselves one of the platinum standards, and our focus is on customer and continuous improvement. So we're in the top 5 of cargo operations. And again, we say 198 passengers, but since this slide was developed last year, we're actually at 210,000 passengers per day. We anticipate by the end of this decade, we will have crossed over the $1 billion mark for passengers. So next slide, please. Here is the initiative that we're moving forward with at DFW Airport, and it's called the DFW Marketplace. So some of the key things I just want to clarify. DFW Using the equal level platform is not attempting to build a cooperative. We're not intending to build a cooperative. What we're doing is placing suppliers that have been awarded cooperative contracts onto one platform so that we can have everyone's competitor, they can have your profile, and we can also source through the multiple catalogs for a particular item. I shared with the team earlier that years ago when we were using catalogs, we had a situation when we used a cooperative and we purchased some tough books for our police department. A competitor through a different cooperative said, well, we have those same tough books in our catalog, but we weren't given an opportunity. The lessons learned there was to make sure that we find a tool that allowed us to search multiple catalogs. It just so happens 6 months later, I met Oracle with equal levels and the journey started. But in our marketplace is a procure to pay marketplace solution hosted by Equal Level. This cutting edge marketplace is designed to significantly enhance business visibility by providing access to suppliers with cooperative contracts to our end users. Basically, we will allow our user departments to go in and have an eBay, Amazon type shopping experience. And the great thing is that most members of our employee base, they're very familiar with online shopping. And because of that familiarity, it reduces the friction in training and the actual lead time associated with training to stand up the marketplace. Next slide, please. So for cooperatives, we will tell them that it's important for their suppliers to join, and it increases their opportunity. The DFW marketplace functionality allow agencies to create a user-friendly shopping experience for pre-negotiated supplier contracts. This improves the compliance within the purchasing rules and regulations, and has been proven to eliminate rogue spend or off-contract spend. So we're going to get into some of the details of this as we go through some of the questions. In regards to my background, I started with Cleveland Hopkins International Airport perhaps 100 years ago. They were the first airport I worked at, and I actually did my internship in the accounting and the environmental planning office. I then had my first director position at Dayton International Airport, James M. Cox, where I was the director of the environmental department and noise abatement office. I shifted and went to the private sector and went to General Mitchell in Milwaukee, oversaw their noise program and did some other work with the passenger facility charge application. And in each one of those endeavors, we were granted a limited amount of purchasing authority. Finally, I went to this housing authority for the city of Atlanta. They were the 5th largest housing authority in the country. And I had the privilege of working with HUD and rewriting the procurement handbook. And so that transition for a consulting opportunity in New Orleans, then I landed city of El Paso. The city of El Paso at that time was the 19th largest city in the country. And it had a bifurcated procurement department. Engineering department did engineering capital, purchasing and strategic sourcing, did goods and services. It was merged after my second year. And then at that time, the procurement department was inundated with calls. So one of the great things we were able to do at that time, we created a virtual information officer. Her name was Ask Laura. And she became a database that suppliers could come in and type in questions about pre-bid meetings and when solicitations were going to be released, and all types of procurement information. That database would search itself and find an answer. And if it did not have the answer, if it wasn't matched, that information would be sent to the administrator that would send it to the user department. We, of course, know now that technology is different and it's even more advanced. But at that time, it was great opportunity. And so we transitioned from Ask Laura. Another item that we were able to do when we centralized the procurement department, City of El Paso's city manager at that time was a Lean Six Sigma black belt. So every department head had to become at a minimum a green belt and take on different initiatives. Well, of course, being a green belt, going through this training, I looked at several other processes that we were using, and we had Kaizen events to shorten the procurement method and life cycle. The major accomplishment at the City of El Paso was not only developing staff, developing our suppliers, and also the implementation of the marketplace. City of El Paso still likes to boast that they were the first city in the state of Texas to implement the marketplace. Houston finished second by 8 days, but the City of El Paso did finish first. We call it the procurement arms race between the purchasing director at that time and myself. But we were able to stand those things up, and I had the opportunity to join DFW roughly 3 years ago. One of the major initiatives that we're doing here is implementing the marketplace. The reason it's so important for DFW to implement the marketplace is that within the next 4.5 years, we have a $9 billion capital program. So a huge portion of our resources will be focused on the capital program. For the goods and services in the remaining budget is going to be roughly $600 million a year. So in lieu of adding additional staff, we want to leverage the great work and learnings that I was able to obtain from the City of El Paso, implement the marketplace so that routine items can be sourced through the marketplace and giving our user departments a great experience. And I'll just take a moment to say this. When I first presented it to members of the senior staff at the City of El Paso, there were certain departments that said, we will never use this. We won't use it. I don't like it. 2 years after the marketplace was implemented, she became the biggest advocate for the marketplace. And so once people experience it and they see the ease of it, how it reduces timeframes, how it ensures compliance within their departments and divisions, there hasn't been a single person that is opposed to using the marketplace. All of them become advocates and supporters of the marketplace. So that's some of the experience that I would like to share as we get into the questions. And I want to thank the unit team for allowing me to speak and share the case study that is the City of El Paso.
Thanks, Bruce. That was a good overview. One of the things you alluded to, and I remember talking with you years ago about this, is which I think is one of the big things that you have to get your head around when you're implementing something like the marketplace, but you're putting in an environment that's going to change or enhance the way the employees within that agency are doing things today. Can you give us a little bit more insight into like the actual baby steps you took in driving El Paso to really engage with the marketplace and then ultimately expand its usage? I think, we always talk about people, processes, and systems when we talk about change management, but what were some of the early challenges in terms of getting people to embrace it?
So that's a great question. And I'm going to segment it into the internal user departments, the technology, and the business community. So within the internal departments, one of the first steps I took was to make sure that I understood we needed departments to be advocates for the marketplace. So I would have a series of one-on-ones with those departments, which only focused on how the marketplace could benefit their department and streamline the procurement processes. So as a procurement professional, whether you're at a city, county, a state, or even in the private sector, when you can present a business case for streamlining the process with transparency and including compliance, you have everyone's attention. Then you just have to demonstrate it. So over time, I quickly targeted different departments, and the departments varied. Some were very tech-based, and they had members of their staff or leadership that were very, very brilliant, and they used technology every day. Those were the easy sales. But I also included some of the tough customers. And in the procurement space, you know your tough customers. Those are the departments that if you cut a month off the procurement cycle, they wanted you to cut a month and a half. So I engaged those departments and started with asking, how would they feel if we could accomplish these different things? And so we were able to ask the questions, find out what particular things they wanted us to reduce, and then we presented the marketplace to ensure that their needs were met. So we developed the advocacy, we developed the support with the user departments, and we built a business case that we could later show to leadership so that moving from the user departments to leadership to support it. And then we shifted to the business community. And within the business community, we introduced the expanded use of cooperatives. Cooperatives been in place for 20 or 30 years, but we created a cooperative business forum, which introduced local companies to the concept of marketplace and the value added for their business proposition to join a cooperative. There were cases when we started having these forums where we had one of the largest construction companies in that area attend our second cooperative forum. And they had a booth next to a gentleman. And because they were interacting with each other, the smaller company received work. But as it relates to the cooperative, the larger company said, we didn't know about job order contracting and cooperatives. 18 months later, they developed a division within the company only to handle cooperative contracting opportunities. So it spoke to the scalability of companies to not only join cooperatives, go from being a regional supplier to a state supplier and even a national one. So it supported local businesses and it allowed the existing businesses to scale. And all of that was then integrated, those suppliers, into the marketplace. So those are the three layers, internally, developing your support, identifying your advocates to support the initiative, presenting the business case for efficiency and cost reduction. And I omitted the fact that we had Granger's Lean Six Sigma team come in to do an assessment of how much time was being saved and the cost reduction or cost avoidance for the cost of a PO. Because most people we see in the NIGP stat, PO costs between $132 to $136. The Granger analysis said the cost was reduced to $17. So every time a PO was issued through the marketplace, the city of El Paso, we had a calculator, the cost avoidance. When things were sourced at a reduced price, then there was a cost avoidance report that was produced for leadership regarding the value added and the cost avoidance from using the cooperative i.e. the marketplace.
Wow, it's interesting because there's so many nuggets in what you just talked about. One is compliance. I think we like to use the phrase compliance built in. So once you've certified those cooperatives and you're at the item level tracking compliance, you are comfortable opening it up to employees because you know there's compliance already built into the marketplace, and let them enjoy that shopping and Amazon type experience, even for getting 3 quotes, which was one of the things I think you did really successfully with the marketplace, is not only this catalog buys, but also facilitating the 3 quote process. Um, you mentioned Granger, which is a large supplier, strong capabilities when it comes to this type of commerce. With the smaller suppliers, what were some of the challenges there, and how did the marketplace and the services help uh, kind of get them to a equal playing field with some of the larger ones?
And that's a great question. And thank you for teeing it up for me. We were able to work with the smaller suppliers. And one, we got them onto a cooperative. So they were not only just selling locally, they were selling to school districts, the county, and they became from their scaling to state and regional suppliers. For those that did not have an electronic catalog, through Equal Level, we built a Magento site for them. It was a small basket of their most popular items that we built them an electronic commerce platform. So now the offerings that they had were being pulled in and compared to the Grangers, the Staples, and for the other big boxes. So that electronic presence and that electronic commerce presence through the marketplace, we were able to build their presence that they then used as they did business with other governmental agencies. So it leveled the playing field in that regard. And we had data to show that the smaller box and the smaller entities were doing as much business and receiving as much business as the big boxes. This was extremely important. And I want to pause here. During the pandemic, the COVID-19, because we had maintained those relationships with the smaller local companies, during the pandemic, when the big boxes could not deliver, we would receive calls from the smaller local suppliers saying, Bruce, we had an order canceled. Would you like this, um, the protective gear equipment? So whether it was from, hand sanitizer, N95 masks, we were able to receive orders because those companies did not abandon us because we went to cooperatives in the marketplace. So we were able to build them an electronic commerce platform. The spin showed that it was comparable. And also during COVID-19, they were very, very supportive of our region and reached out to us to make sure that items that couldn't be sourced from the big boxes, if they had the availability of it, they contacted us directly and salvaged those relationships.
Yeah, that's a good point. And one of the things, having worked with you and your team at the city of El Paso, you're always a driver. Bruce mentioned initially part of what we wanted to do at Equal Level was just that, equal the playing field for smaller vendors so that they could participate as well and not be left out. Bruce mentioned Magento, which is an e-commerce platform. So we actually started using an off-the-shelf open source e-commerce platform to provide connectivity for the suppliers. And we don't charge the suppliers to get on for that sponsoring agency. So we used that in the early days to get them on the marketplace so that they were there just like the larger ones. And over time, we ran into limitations with those platforms. So we actually designed and implemented our own e-commerce, punch-out enabled e-commerce platform for suppliers named Equal Level Go. So, Bruce, you've always had this kind of visionary thing on where we needed to go and stuff like that. What do you see as not only the barriers to agencies adopting P2P, but where do you see it going, over time? We talk about full spend coverage, but what are the barriers you anticipate at Dallas Fort Worth Airport and probably other agencies are encountering now as it relates to automating P2P? And where do you think we end up in 5 years with this automation?
Wow, and another great question. I think, and thank you for the kind words. I'm going to address to where do I think we end up in 5 years. So in 5 to 10 years, I think we will be integrating quantum computing and AI in our sourcing and decision making. I think we're going to, once that integration takes place and the business community and the governments become more comfortable with it, I think AI and quantum computing will do the majority, maybe even 70% of the day-to-day sourcing will be done through one of those platforms. The data will be there to analyze the spend and to also supplement the evaluation committees. We will still have humans until we get comfortable with the AI doing the evaluations. But that's where I see 5 to 10 years. As far as the platforms now, I think the challenges we have here in the Metroplex are the same challenges we had in El Paso. Ensuring that the business community is brought along with the technology. If you're not including your suppliers in your integration of technology, if you're not communicating with your suppliers, you're creating friction unnecessarily. Because in the procurement profession today, our charge is to reduce the friction between the suppliers wanting to do business with us throughout our entire process, whether it's through the marketplace, whether it's through our bidding process. And I'd just like to park here. One of the other platforms that we use at DFW is Bonfire. Bonfire is in the family now with Equal Level under the UNA platform. We planned on continuing to use Bonfire to bid out our construction work. There are certain items that you cannot use through a government contract. One is professional services, architects, engineers. The state law does not allow you to source them through a cooperative. Our construction program, we primarily use construction manager at risk, design, build. Those will continue to be bid through Bonfire. For items we can source through the marketplace and through cooperatives, we try to balance that because within our business and supplier community, cooperatives have such a broad breadth of suppliers and services. We could, for all of our technology, use cooperatives. But within the marketplace, we have thousands of IT companies, so we balance. Should we, based upon supplier availability, bid this out, or should we use the marketplace? So we're always looking to balance the items we source through cooperative and also the items we bid out to the public. Because one of the traps that we want to make sure we avoid is not giving the local suppliers that are not on a cooperative an opportunity. So we're going to have cooperative forums where they can join, but we're also going to make sure we balance the items we bid through Bonfire and the items we source through the marketplace. So we have to have that balance and make sure, whether it's Bonfire or our marketplace, we reduce the level of friction as possible.
I think that's that's really an interesting thought. The friction, really, how does technology, not only today but going forward, continue to reduce friction for your customers that are looking to buy things within the enterprise, but also as important the suppliers, because technology is moving quickly, and for so many suppliers, even the larger ones, their heads are spinning trying to figure out where to make investments, how to keep up, how to stay competitive. And as we move forward together, through that whole source to pay process, us making sure our platform is there ready not only for your customers internally but also for your suppliers is critical, for overall success. What's
Welcome.
your Go ahead.
Let me jump in. So in regards to the payment process, so in El Paso, we had a separate accounts payable department. Here at DFW, I didn't know until my second day on the job that I'm responsible for paying invoices. So we have 18,000 invoices a year. The marketplace and purchases through the marketplace with the functionality in the system. Of course, the PO is issued through the marketplace, but the marketplace has the functionality to receive invoices, which expedites the matching process, the three or two-way match, which leads to a quicker payment by AP. So we have a goal that 98% of the invoices have to get paid within net 30. So imagine if we take out the 3,000 invoices that are associated with our capital program, and they're included through the marketplace, we're going to be able to pay our suppliers faster. Here's why that's important. One, cash is king. And with the amount of money that the federal governments have provided into the marketplace, suppliers have a choice of whose bid they're responding to. So as suppliers are making the decision, am I going to bid on a DFW paving contract, City of Dallas, TxDOT, City of Fort Worth, et cetera, they're also considering who's going to pay us faster. The equal level platform allows us to pay faster. So when a supplier is deciding on where to submit their bonding bid, it's my hope that they consider, hey, DFW through this marketplace is paying us faster, and they choose to do business with us.
Yeah. That's a good point, because I totally I don't know how I missed it, but we in addition to the marketplace, we extended that functionality to AP automation, specifically capturing invoices from vendors and then feeding it into the financial system. And the city of El Paso was the first city that we worked with to do that, to integrate electronic invoices into the financial system. And I think that is a point I want to make sure is captured. Like, we at UNA at Equal Level consider the financial system the system of record. So all that we're talking about here is how we're extending off of a financial system to make it better, doing those enterprise connections with the suppliers more efficiently. At the city of El Paso, it was PeopleSoft. At the city of Houston, it was SAP, and at Dallas Fort Worth, it's Oracle Fusion. So we're not looking to replace the financial system. We actually are trying to enhance it and make your investment in your financial system even greater. So that's important, that we are building on top of the financial system, not trying to replace it. The e-invoicing piece, which is something that is a few years old, we pioneered with the city of El Paso initially, and now we're extending that functionality. So, so we kind of moved from procurement into AP automation, but I didn't realize you have responsibility for both components of it. So with that, I think we hit on some major points. The compliance baked in is critical in the marketplace, really embracing kind of that supplier base and making sure that all suppliers, not just the larger ones, are included, and then driving user adoption through a consumer type comparison shopping experience if that's what's right for that category. Um, Ultimately, AI is a big piece of it. We're at we're playing with AI. We have a AI powered savings advisor that operates in the background and will suggest best value purchases to shoppers. And we're looking at other ways to extend AI across the platform and integrate data from sourcing, invoicing, and the PO data to help make better decisions. Um,
Well,
what's your
well,
thought? Go ahead.
if I can, what are the items that purchasing professionals we capture, but we don't always tell a great story about our success? Yes, contracts get executed, but one of the challenges and one of the things I want to admonish all my colleagues to do is with these type of tools, whether it's computing, the marketplace, and the other tools under the unit umbrella, is to make sure that we tell our story. We now have technology that can create reports that we can provide back to the board or back to city council. So before it was very manual process to use, hey, here's how much we saved. But now through these systems, you have systems that generate the reports for us that we can share back to the board and we can share back to the citizens because the citizens and our boards and our city councils always want to know, is the money being spent wisely and thoughtfully? We have systems in place now that can generate those reports and we can report it back. So we have to use the systems not only to complete the sourcing, but also to complete the reports that we can share with leadership. That here's how we were able to add value. We sped it up, we got quality products, and we saved money and had cost avoidance in some cases. So it's a great tool to help us gain information and data that tell the story of value added by purchasing and strategic sourcing department.
That's a very good point. That was actually, not only talking about advice or tips to people that are thinking about automating source to pay end to end, or maybe they've started with the sourcing, now they're saying, what's next? I think building that business case, thinking about the value they're going to have is important. Were there any tools or things like that that you used to help you build the business case, or was it just intuitive? You knew this was going to save money or save time. Um,
So another great question. After we saw the initial demo, and so Orville, you will remember this. The initial demo, only the platform had maybe 19 contracts.
yeah,
As you know, now you have thousands. And so even with the smaller amount of contracts, we saw the reduction in staff time associated with searching. And I often say this in meetings, and I often say, if you're if you're not over 40 years old, this won't make any sense. But for those of us that are over 40, it's like those Christmas catalogs. You had the Sears catalog, the J.C. Penney's catalog, and you had to go through all of this paper to find items in different catalogs. Now, through the use of technology, you have all those digitized catalogs. So when we speak about digital transformation, this is the best example of digital transformation that anyone in supply chain world could ever think of. All of those paper Christmas catalogs, and I use that as an example, it could be any month, all that information is there. So the end user experience is heightened. And we were able to, with your assistance, catch lightning in a bottle. And we have been able to do, and as you know, once we did it in the city of Atlanta, all of the five large school districts implemented it. The CFO from one school district, she's here in Fort Worth, they're implementing it. And we anticipate that once we launch it at DFW International Airport, there's going to be the other airports are going to follow. We've already presented it at some airport conferences about digital transformation in the marketplace. And once people see it and touch and feel it, it's there. We call lightning in a bottle, and we beat Houston.
No, you're absolutely right. Once we got it started with the city of El Paso, the agencies around started to get the buzz, not only on the supplier side, and then quickly adopted it. And we created almost a hub in El Paso where suppliers now join and they're exposed to one kind of channel to deal with a lot of the local agencies. So you're right, it did start there. And we're seeing it happen in the Dallas Fort Worth area as well. So,
I, I
absolutely.
would I would just add, it's similarly, and it's a different platform, but Bonfire. So the use of Bonfire within the Metroplex, one of the reasons we are staying with Bonfire is that the city of Dallas is using it, the transit system is using it, city of Fort Worth. So all of our suppliers that we all utilize and interact with are becoming acclimated to one system. We anticipate that once we launch the marketplace, members of our board that are officials with the city of Dallas, when we did our presentation, said, we're going to see how well it works. And then after your success, we're going to ask you to come east to the city of Dallas so we can implement it. So we're the guinea pigs for both Fort Worth, city of Fort Worth, and also the city of Dallas. So failure is not an option. We've done it before and we're going to do it again. Can I mention security?
Yep.
Like the Bonfire ion wave systems, everything is encrypted and to the highest level of security possible. I mean, it may be easier to get information from NASA than it is to break our systems. And the marketplace has the similar level of data security and encryption. So there's a lot of emphasis on cybersecurity. These systems are mega secure, and we're very grateful about that because, like, we are looking for innovation in the sourcing space. The cyber villains are looking at innovation in what they do, and we're still ahead of them. So, just
That's a
wanted to
very
mention.
That's a very good point. It's interesting because some of our customers, mutual customers, are on, and I see the comments, and thank you all. But just for our customers and even customers of Bonfire and Iron Wave, not necessarily equal level, we chose Una. We had a number of different options when we decided that it was time for us to expand and be part of something larger. And we chose Una because of the cultural fit with Ionwave, with Bonfire, with the folks we had worked with for years, and also the idea that we could continue the momentum we have and create this best of breed source to pay platform. And so for us, the best is yet to come. And we're excited and certainly appreciate Bruce, you getting on to tell the story and talk about where you're going. And we certainly will tee you up for a webinar in the future to talk about the results at Dallas Fort Worth. We're really in the early stages of launching that marketplace. And so there's a lot of excitement.
Thank you, thank the team. It's a pleasure being here. We're always happy to speak about our successes and experience with three of your offerings. So it's not just bonfires, ion wave, and is equal level. So great experience. They've all been immensely valuable in helping us with our digital transformation and bringing our suppliers along and reducing friction. I do have to say this, and just for everyone on the call, Orville did not he does not normally say this. One of the things about the three platforms that I mentioned is the responsiveness of those groups. So early on, when we were implemented the marketplace, we would be able to call Orville and his team and said, well, we have an idea. Can we issue a blanket PO? And as we taught why we needed it, and from a user's perspective, it was just 2 days later, hey, my team wants to show you something. And the responsiveness to the customer was incredible. And when I was with the city, as we were working with Ion Wave, Dan and those folks we have a call. Can we? And it was almost like that commercial. We didn't invent it, but we could just ask the question and they made it better. And so the responsiveness to customer concerns and questions we have, the organization individually and collectively have been very responsive to, in my experience as a customer.
That's a very good point. I think all three organizations are purpose driven around the public sector and trying to help drive innovation into the public sector. So it's a common culture across all three now brought together under UNA. But if there are no other questions, and I had taken some questions that had come in and asked you, Bruce, we can certainly wrap up now. Or Sarah, I don't know if you had any questions come in or that
Yeah,
I didn't.
just one question on the bringing back up the topic of the friction with the technology and all of that kind of stuff. One of the questions was how to handle change management and what you did in your organizations that you've worked in when working with like cross-functionally within teams, because obviously you need to work with more than just one team now when using the marketplace.
So I'm very fortunate that in the organizations I've worked in, silos did exist, but cross-functional teams were encouraged. And so the strategy was identifying the departments that you can use their advocacy to support your initiative. And a great example was what I mentioned earlier, going to those departments and building a business case, department by department, showing them the value of the marketplace. One of the secret sales was saying, here's how we can take my department out of it. Because the contracts are pre-approved, you can shop and build your card. It's going to go through the hierarchy for your PO so you have visibility. But we've taken my department out because Orville, you will remember when we first did the system up, we had purchasing in there. And
Yeah.
so the departments would send their POs to purchase. And we asked the question, why are we still involved in this? Because the contracts have already been vetted and loaded into equal level. So we know the prices are correct. But we were able to show the department where we're increasing the compliance because the cooperatives now comply with 2 CFR 200. And even when we look at the system and the process flow maps, we're eliminating unnecessary steps. So that was a value added that we were able to share within departments and then their divisions of how we were reducing it. And even with the implementation of Bonfire, we staggered the implementation for Bonfire with just the request for quotations with certain departments. And then we moved to the RFPs. And so we gathered in smaller groups the impact for the organization and their particular departments. We asked them, where's the friction? What would you like to have addressed? And then we move forward with implementation of it. And most recently, we're using it for our concession contracts. I believe we're the first organization to successfully issue a request for proposal for a concession through the e-commerce system because they're super complex. They're always litigated. There's always protests. But we issued one a few months ago where we had 100% compliance through the process. And the suppliers commented about how frictionless it was. And out of 20 years of paper, they didn't have to submit 15 proposals. Everything was in Bonfire. So I realize this is the marketplace, Orvo, so please.
No. It's all the same thing. Automation
Okay.
for source to pay. That's the vision for
So
So
bring in those departments together as we piloted ideas to find out what their pain points were. Then we built a business case around solving their pain points because we didn't want to be the great Oz to present something. So I see the comment about school districts and from City of El Paso, there's 5 school districts back east that have implemented it. After they saw it, they would come over and we showed them the back end compliance. We showed them everything that existed in the marketplace, and they have gone on to implement it successfully. And they have even presented it at the TASB conferences for school districts.
Yep.
And so they have modeled it. And I said, hey, you guys didn't mention the city of El Paso.
So I that's good for that. And then I think we have one or two poll questions that would certainly love to get your input on from the audiences there. So can respond to that. And then certainly the unit team is available. We will record this session and make it available. So if you have people in your organization that missed it, you'd like them to see it, we can get a copy of or link to the recording out to you. So again, thank you for your time, and certainly from the equal level perspective, thrilled to be part of the UNA organization. So.
And we're thrilled to be a UNA customer.
As well. Okay. All right. Sarah, is that,
Yeah, that's perfect. And then just the last webinar of the series is coming up next Tuesday. And this will be a product deep dive into equal level. So you get to actually see equal level in action.
Yep. Thank you. And thank you, Bruce, for taking the time to tell the story, and certainly look forward to many more years of collaboration.
Thank you, sir. And thanks for the invite.
Yep. Bye.